page 24 of our Sidurims with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seifem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Heidi, would you like to light our Shabbos candles for today? Page 25.
Happens every time, Heidi.
Does it? It's not just me, I'm not special?
Nope, not just you.
Yes, you left it. I separated this.
I smell take it. That's what it's like. Come, let us welcome Shabbat.
May its radiance illuminate our hearts.
Light is the symbol of the divine.
The eternal is my light and my salvation.
Light is the symbol of the divine within us.
The human spirit is the light of the eternal.
Light is the symbol of the divine law.
For the mitzvah is a lamp and a Torah a light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission.
I, the eternal, have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitashanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad l'knei shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, O eternal our God, who makes our lives holy through divine mitzvot, and who has commanded us to kindle the Shabbat lamp.
Amen.
May the eternal bless us with Shabbat joy.
Amen.
May the eternal bless us with Shabbat peace.
Amen.
May the eternal bless us with Shabbat holiness.
Amen. On page 29 of our Sidurims, we're going to join together for Lechai Dodi.
27.
Page 27. Lecha Dodi Ligrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi Ligrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Hishmi anu echad michad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad. Lishem otziferet v'litzilah. Lecha dodi ligrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi ligrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Ligrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha. Ki hi mekor haberecha, merosh mikedem nesuka, sof ma'asa b'maksha tila, lecha dodi ligrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi ligrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, hi ori, Kiva ore kumi ori, ori, shir daveri, kavod Adonai alai nigla, Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Now we face the entrance or exit of our building as we welcome in the Shabbos bride. Boi v'shalom atzeret bala. Gam b'simcha uvetzola. Toch emunei am segula. Boi kala, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Remain standing now for the Hatzi Kaddish found on page 29 of our Siddurim. Once again, the Hatzi Kaddish is on page 29. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. B'alma divrach rutei yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yonechon u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yemeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach. Le'olam olam me'almaya yitbarach. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei nekudashah b'rechu, leila mikol birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nechemata, damiram v'alma, v'yemeru, amen. Remain standing now on page 30 for the Baruch Hu. Baruchu et Adonai HaMivorach. Baruch Adonai HaMivorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMivorach le'olam va'ed. Page 31, we join together with the italicized text in English. Eternal God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, don't let your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, O Eternal, who brings on the evening. Page 32, we join together at the bottom of the page. With eternal love you have loved your people, the house of Israel. Torah and commandments, statutes and judgments you've taught us. Therefore, O eternal our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will discuss your statutes and rejoice in the words of your Torah and your commandments forever. For they are our lives and they lengthen our days, and we will meditate upon them day and night. May you never remove your love from us forever and ever. Blessed are you, O Eternal, who loves God's people, Israel. Page 33, we join together for the Shema prayer. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated for the V'ahavta on page 34. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'otecha, v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinatan levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shitecha v'beitecha, u'v'letecha v'aderech, u'shachvecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam ne'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asitem eko mitzvotai, v'etem kirushim lelechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, le'ot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Page 35. Eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else. Together.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares.
Let them beat their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, let them study war no more.
You shall not hate another in your heart. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Let the stranger be in your midst to you as a native, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt.
From the house of bondage we went forth to freedom, so that we will be free to sing with joy.
Page 36, we join together from Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha, Ba'alim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedar by Kodesh, Nora Teilot, Oisei Fele, Machutecharu Vanecha, Bokayam Lifnei Moshe, Ze Eli Anu V'Amru, Adonai Iloch Leolam Va'ed, V'ne'emar ki far Adonai et Yaakov, U'golem et Ezach Mimenu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 37, we join together for the responsive reading for Hashkivenu. Cause us, O eternal our God, to lie down in peace and to awaken us each morning to life renewed with strength. Spread over us the holy shelter of your peace.
Help us to order our lives by your counsel and lead us in the paths of righteousness. Be a shield about us, protect us from pain, war, pestilence, sorrow.
Curb also within us the inclination to do evil and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Guard our going out and our coming into life, with peace from this time forth and forever.
Blessed are you, O Eternal, whose holy shelter of peace is spread over us, over all God's people, Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Page 38, we join together for Vishamru. Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, le'doretan berit olam. Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, le'doretan berit olam. B'nei Uvein, B'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, le'doretan berit olam. Ki sheish yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, le'doretan berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash. Vishamru, V'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, le'doretan berit olam. We now rise on page 39 for the Amidah prayer. Tefillah begins on page 39. Adonai sefatati tachu fi yadi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Anorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Lifnei Pnechem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Abraham, V'Yizrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atah Rab Le'Hoshia, Mashiva Ruach U'Marit HaGeshem, Mekakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayei Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, U'Matzir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Givurot, U'Mito Melach, Melech B'mit, U'Mechayei, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושם הקדוש וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We daven silently until page 47, where we will join together for Oseh Shalom. After you've completed davening, you may be seated. We're going to join together on page 47 for Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. V'emeru, amen. So in just a moment, I'm going to be inviting up Brad Cohen to share some words today. Today marks a series of interesting special occasions for our community. One, we have a special guest speaker, we have Brad Cohen, who is going to be sharing some words with us in just a few moments. Also, we have marking today, most tragically this week, we had an attack that affected the Jewish community, specifically the Reformed Jewish community, oddly enough. And during my rabbinical training, it was, I think, about 7 years ago, when we're doing our rabbinical training, we get placed in different communities at different points for training. And one of our opportunities for our entire cohort of Cincinnati's campus in my year was to visit, virtually albeit, the same community that was targeted in Detroit or outside of Detroit, Temple Israel. And so we met with the staff of Temple Israel during our rabbinic training. We got to meet with individuals who were also members of their community. And to see on the news that same community targeted most recently is absolutely heartbreaking. Knowing personally the staff that worked there and as well community members as well is devastating as it is. And with that, I'd just like to, in a moment, invite Brad to come speak. Earlier today, he posted a video that was shared on social media about his response, and I think he's going to share a little bit about his response to the attacks and the targeting of our Jewish community and some of the work that he's done specifically in engaging with Israel and also refugees, as this is also marking Refugee Shabbat, and Israel is a safe haven for refugees of the world. And with that, I'd like to invite up our special guest speaker of today, Brad Cohen. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Do I need that? Okay, I can talk.
It depends. I think you're good at projecting yourself. As long as
Yeah.
you're not overcoming a cold, you'll be good.
That's you, Rabbi.
Okay.
You get well soon.
I'm gonna do you one favor though. I'm going to make sure that you're
See?
seen. There you go.
Again, Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and thank you for having me. It's really nice to be at different shuls. It's just a home, but just a different home than I'm used to, but it's still a home. And I think that that's important for us, especially now considering the what's going on in the world. And I'm going to start out by recalling that about a little over 2 years ago, just around the time of October 7th, I remember being invited up to a talk that was being given with the elected officials up in North Jersey, the West Orange area, in one of the shuls that was there, because their representatives were there to listen to the Jewish community, who was clearly talking about issues that could have been anywhere in New Jersey or the country for that matter, but they had the opportunity to actually approach their officials with the things that bothered them. And while everybody had a different thing to talk about, it generally fell into two categories. One was that as they were approaching Hanukkah, they felt very uncomfortable and unsafe as Jews to either go to shul, to walk around with anything that obviously identified them as Jewish, to put something on their house that just celebrated Hanukkah as representing the fact that it could potentially be and make them a target. Which a lot of other religions and ethnicities don't ever have to worry about. So that was their first concern. Glad to see that as little as yesterday, that concern hasn't gotten any less. It's only worse. And the other thing that really bothered them was the attack on education. That it was bad enough what they were already starting to see on college campuses, where students are being unable to feel safe going to their own classes, where they're being feeling that they're being attacked even as the curriculums are being set so that it portrays this colonialization type of theme that comes out of money that is being invested in those schools from outside countries to promote that message, all the way down to the fact that it's now even beginning to trickle into elementary school education right here in New Jersey, and often in not so clear or obvious ways. The Black Lives Matter curriculum, as little as 2 years ago, has as 30 to 40% of that curriculum talks about free Palestine, so that the entire concept of the Palestinian cause is infiltrating into that curriculum. And the New Jersey Education Association is considering making the Black Lives Matter curriculum part of the New Jersey standards for elementary school education. So it is weaving its way into becoming normalized in education, so that that whole concept is part of what kids grow up as normative. Nobody's doing anything about that to any big degree, and if it is, it's people that have been around for a long time who maybe see where this is headed, versus the younger kids who are now being trained and growing with this feeling almost normal. To as recently as, fast forward from the 2 years ago, if any of you know, I'm running for Congress, and that's not what I'm here to talk about today. But in one of the forums that I did have to participate in recently in Princeton, it was one of the 2 tables set up for all 17 of us that are running, by the way, a table of 9 and a table of 8. And we were told that as part of the process, they're not going to ask 17 people the same question. Nobody wants to hear 17 1-minute answers to the same question. So they would do one question at one table, and 9 of us would answer that, only 1 minute each, and then they would go to a different question altogether at another table. What is the odds that the only Jewish candidate that's running among the 17 gets the question about Israel? Like, it just happened to work out. What would you do? Would you limit weapons being sent to Israel? And I'm listening to everybody at the table who is, Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. I mean, I don't love Benjamin Netanyahu, but he's still the democratically elected representative of a free country whose people are in a democracy where that's how it works. I don't agree with everything that Trump does, but he's the democratically elected leader of this country. I would limit weapons. They shouldn't get anything. I'm done with Israel. I don't understand why we give them anything. Everyone at the table was saying the exact same thing except me. Is this Alice in Wonderland? Did I just wake up and find myself in a deep hole and I don't even recognize my own country or the people around me? I mean, my answer was completely the opposite. I said, no, I would not limit weapons. They are a U.S. ally in a part of the world where they have only known conflict, and every country around them has always wanted them gone from the day they were a country. Again, let me remind you, they are a U.S. ally. They're protecting their own citizens, of which, by the way, I could remind you, 20% of them are Muslim. They protect U.S. interests in that part of the world. They protect U.S. interests in Europe. They protect U.S. interests in the U.S. They purchase all those weapons from the U.S., and they don't have to put American troops on the ground to do it. The Israelis are willing to do it for us. So the answer is no. And everybody else is, they're committing a genocide. They should get nothing. And when it was all over and people were starting to disperse, maybe 3 people in the audience came up to me and said, thank you for, I'm like, what are you whispering for? Why are we so afraid to stand up for ourselves? And when we are, everywhere we turn around, whether it's here, it's Sydney, it's Europe, it's a plane landing in Turkey where there's people that saw it was El Al, they all wanted to attack the Jews that were on the plane. What's happening in this world, and why are we so afraid to stand up for ourselves? And why are we ceding our history? There's only one religion that's around today that's older than Judaism, that's Hinduism. Why are we ceding our history to allow everybody else to tell our story? It's our story, and we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should be proud of it. We should own it and not be afraid to say that no matter where you go. And I'm sorry, you don't get history on a 30-second TikTok. That seems to be what people have the patience for. If it's not more than 30 seconds, then nobody wants to do any research. When in a world today, it couldn't be easier to do that. East Brunswick has a sister city in Israel, which we were proud to talk about and to sign several years ago. Our economic development officer for the township and myself were invited out to Israel. We paid for it, not the taxpayer of East Brunswick, to go there to sign the sister city agreement. I had been to Israel before, he had not. So we were in a hotel literally outside of the old city. And I said to him, it's Friday night, we really should go to Shabbat at the wall. I mean, you're never going to see anything like that, it's so beautiful. So we agreed we would do that. And in order to get from our hotel to the area, the Jewish quarter where the wall is, you have to go through the Muslim quarter. If you've been there before, it's kind of one souvenir shop after another. They all really look the same, nothing really high end. And he had never been there before, so he said to me, well, I think I should get some gifts to bring home. I So I think it could do better. But we stopped anyway. And the guy who owned it, an Arab Israeli, started chatting with us. He wanted to know what we're there for. So I told him the whole story. The sister city is going to bring opportunities for trade, for children to communicate with one another and learn about each culture. So many people and many countries and cities do that throughout the states. And so the guy asked me, he goes, you know, you seem like such a nice guy. Could I ask you a question? And I said, sure. He said, how would you feel if somebody came into your home and never left? And I looked at him and I said, that's a hell of a question, isn't it? And he looked at me kind of stunned. I said, well, you're obviously an Arab Israeli, you know, capital I, you're an Israeli. You're living under the safety and protection that's provided to you by the Israeli army, the Israeli police, the Israeli government, because you're an Israeli. And you derive your income within the walls of the old city where we're standing, and you could trace Jewish history for thousands of years. And you have the balls to start your history in 1948? And he looked at me stunned, like he didn't know what to say. And the friend with me is like, I think we have to get out of here. I think we're done. But the point of that is that there's no substitute for knowing your history. And be proud. Be proud of who you are. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. And darn it, I do not want to be the last chain in this really great story. So Shabbat Shalom.
So we normally give an opportunity for people to ask questions. If you want to ask any questions at this time, go ahead.
Is anybody doing anything about Instagram, X, Facebook, with a constant posting of anti-Jewish, anti-Israel posts? Because it's I look all day long, my blood boils, it's just beyond belief how worse it just keeps getting every day.
Yeah, have you had anybody had the opportunity to watch the small documentary called October 8th? It was a documentary that was put together. Who's the actress from? No, not Noah Tisby. The one from. I could see her face.
Deborah Messinger.
Deborah Messing. And basically what it talked about was how literally everything that happened on October 7th had to have been pre-planned. There were people here in this country that had obviously known what was going to happen. All of the propaganda that literally started the next minute before there was even a war that was declared was already out there. And one of the statistics that's given in that documentary was that for every one pro-Jewish Instagram post, Facebook post, whatever, 54 that are the other way. And the problem with all of that is that while it's monitored, it's still considered free speech. And there's very little likelihood, I see, unless somebody does something really egregious, that the site itself shuts its comment down or stops somebody from continuing to post, or they get into Facebook jail or whatever they call it, where you can't post for a while. But the likelihood of the government intervening in what would overwhelmingly be a First Amendment case is probably pretty low. But you're right, some of it's vile, and but unfortunately, I don't think there's an answer to that.
Would you take a moment, if you could, and comment on the meetings that were held at Rutgers for elected Jewish officials?
Yeah, obviously we were at that, Miriam, and it was it was an invitation to those of us that are in elected office to listen to and speak directly to the people at Rutgers who are in positions of authority. And they wanted to hear from us, and we had the opportunity to actually listen to about 4 students that were involved and first person in what had been going on the campus at that time, and it was eye-opening to see, unfortunately, how little support the Jewish community and those kids were getting in a public institution that's supposed to be there to protect them. And while I agree with the First Amendment rights, there is that obligation for you to be able to go to campus and have an open atmosphere where you could learn about all different aspects and be able to debate without fear that you're going to be persecuted for it. But all that being said, the primary responsibility of the university is to ensure the safety and security of all the students, faculty, and people that work and interact on that campus. And in that regard, they were failing. And if you can't do that, then all of the other things don't really matter after that. And I think they got an earful out of that meeting. Nobody, including the students and the elected officials who had already heard that from people, that's why we were there to talk to them, were buying any of it. And the end result was that there was some change that was made to the campus and the way in which they interacted. And I think it was because we were there and because the students were not afraid to speak up for themselves. Thanks.
I'll throw in a comment. It is interesting that there are two wars going on that we observe. While what's going on with Israel and the Middle East, we also know that around the same time, Russia invaded the Ukraine. Ukraine was innocent. They literally came in, attacked. The Russians did their typical thing. They bombed residential areas as opposed to military bases. Yet, I've never heard of one protest at Lukoil, which is a Russian-owned business. I've never heard where Russian students who are here in America have ever felt threatened. I find the contrast dramatic, since we have October 7th was an attack when they were having a what was it?
Music festival.
Music festival. Yeah. And you hear the innocent people who got attacked. The contrast between that and what the Russians are also doing, and the outcry or lack of outcry about what the Russians are doing, I find amazing.
Well, we can probably find instances like that go on and on and on and on. We have a group of people that come to every one of our council meetings. In the beginning, they were asking for East Brunswick to sign a ceasefire resolution because, I'm sure the entire conflict in the Middle East was going to be dependent on whether or not the council from East Brunswick signed a ceasefire resolution. But then they moved on after that, wanting us to get rid of our sister cities designation with Yavne in Israel because Israel's committing a genocide and they're killing people and it's a Holocaust and on and on and on and on. But literally standing next to our sister city plaque on the wall in the front as you walk into the town hall is our sister city with Yaman, China, which we did even before the one that we did with Israel. And I didn't hear anything about the killing, torturing, or imprisoning of Muslim Uyghurs that's being done by the Chinese government. They didn't seem to have any problem with that, just glanced right past that, but only the one with Israel. Or maybe the 500,000 people that Bashar Assad killed in his own country. There was no big outcry and encampments and all of that stuff. I didn't see anybody protesting when the Iranian regime killed galore does, 50, 20, we don't even know how many because they shut off the internet, and I wouldn't believe their numbers anyway, of their own citizens. That nobody has a problem with. It's only when it's Israel. So there's been a double standard when it comes to Israel, Judaism, forever. And again, it requires that you know your history and that you study it, and you could be able to fight back with data and be able to defend yourself. And unfortunately, a lot of kids really aren't. My wife is here. and my daughter, they went to Democratic Federation of Women dinner right around the holidays. And they're sitting next to this girl from Rutgers. I mean, good school, right? 3rd or 4th year, can't be stupid. And I don't know how the two of them got onto the conversation, but when I heard them starting about the conversation about Israel, I said, I'm going to let it go. She can handle herself. But the girl basically started on something about, well, you know, in Israel, they're killing the babies and they're shooting them heads and then they're beheading them and then they're this. I said, what are you talking about? Where are you getting that? I said, well, you know, it didn't just start happening on October 7th. This started 75 years ago. So she said, really? What happened 75 years ago? Well, you know, the Jews came in and kicked the Palestinians out of Palestine. Really? And there were no Jews in Palestine in that region of the world until before 1948. No, really. Could I ask you what your religion is? I'm Christian. She said, that's great. What religion was Jesus? Well, he was Christian. No, he was actually a Jew. He lived 2,000 years ago. You know that big painting and picture that has people around a table eating? That's actually called a Passover Seder. They were celebrating that for 1,000 years before that. Jews have been in that part of the world for thousands of years. I think you need to go back and study your history. You can Google it. I mean, really, this is what's graduating from a really good school.
And a school that has a lot of Jews in it, as opposed to schools all over the country who don't have any Jews in it. Rutgers has more Jews in there than any college in New Jersey, and in a lot in the United States.
Right. So you would think that the whole point of being in a college, I get it. Let's have free thoughts, let's have discussion, but it has to be still based on facts and real history. This is what's scaring me. This is why elections matter. This is why education matters. And so when you start hearing about curriculums being polluted with facts that are not real, when you start hearing kids coming out of colleges not knowing basic facts about history, and you could see there's a web. This is designed. You're going to start having these young people who are running for office now being representing a generation of people who've now been brainwashed with that philosophy, and they will be in powerful positions to make major decisions that will be very difficult to undo once they're done. That's the point that I'm trying to make today, which is that we need to be very careful about who we give the levers of government and the access to those levers, because it could be very difficult to change some of the damage that can be done. So I didn't want to scare anybody. I don't want anybody to feel, but we should feel empowered to start doing something about it and not sit on the sidelines.
I have one question.
Sure.
In your opinion, should public funding be used to support public institutions that fail to provide safety and security for Jewish students on campus?
Well, I think before you start cutting funding, you should threaten that you're going to cut funding if they're not providing safety and security. It is a basic requirement and an obligation to do that. When I get 3rd graders that come up to the township and they learn about government, and that's a kind of point in time where they're starting to learn about government, and I always ask them, of all the things the mayor has to do, what do you think is the most important thing? And even they get it. Making sure that everybody in the town, everybody that works here or plays here, is safe. And everything after that just is such a secondary issue. So I feel the same thing with colleges. You're entrusting them to give your kids a good education, but more than that, and still foremost, is providing them a safe environment in which to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So So we're going to now join together for the Misha Berak prayer in our Siddurim. In just a moment, I'm going to be reciting names from our Misha Berak list. After the names have been read aloud, if anyone would like to add any names to the list that has been read, please include those names at that time. Well, this is quite ironic. Hey, I see Lisa added my name because I'm overcoming the trouble.
Nice touch.
I don't think I'm going to read my own name, but she just writes the Poland family because it's a sickness that has gone through our whole family, so I'll draw attention to the sickness that has waged a war in our family for the past week. But us aside, we have the following names on this week's Misha Berak list. Hannah Bat Gittel, Alan Tannenbaum, Harry Satin, Yvette Zamos, Rich Bernaldo, Joanne Friedman, Ira Roth, Angelina Heller, Alan Frederick, Stephanie Belzer, Perry Trevick, Paula Davis, Lucas Doss, Arlene Mann, Gail Katz, Christy Sinkoff, Barbara Steinberg, Alan Steinberg, Yosef Ben Shmuel, the Alka, Colson Jones, Austin Volk, Courtney Zabidik, Evelyn Levy, Kami Zabidik, Asher Ephraim, Prima Riggio. Are there any additional names anyone would like added to our list for today? Yes.
Lori Hanson,
Lori Hanson,
Joyce Pine,
Joyce Pine,
Donna Dunn,
Donna Dunn,
and Christine Burray.
Christine Beret. Yes.
Sure. Gabriel Levesque,
Gabriel Levesque,
Mike Costello,
Mike Costello,
John Riggs.
John Riggs. Yes.
Yitzhak Shmuel Ben,
Yitzhak Shmuel Ben
Chava Masha.
Chava Marsha. Okay.
Go.
Any additional names? Yes.
Jack Osher.
Jack Osher. Yes.
Julia Bloomfield.
Julia Bloomfield. All right, we're joined together now for the Misha Berak prayer. Misha Berak Avoteinu Mekor Habreka Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berak Imotenu Mekor Habreka Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We rise on page 49 for the Aleinu prayer. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotzev reshit shalom atzana kigie aratzot velo samanu kimishbechot adama shalom sam kalkeinu kachem v'gor aleinu kithol hamonam v'anachnu korin u'mishpachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamachim Akadosh Baruch Hu, Sha'unatei Shamayim v'Yosir Haaretz, U'Moshe Yekaro b'Shamayim Ima'al, U'Shchinatu Zo, B'Govei Meroamim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Emet Malkeinu Efesu L'Tov, Kakatuv b'Torato, v'yadata hayom v'hoshivota el avivecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, v'al ha'aretz mitachot, ein od, page 50. We therefore hope in you, O eternal our God, soon to behold the splendor of your might. Then will false gods vanish from the earth, and the idols will be utterly cut off, to heal the world through the sovereignty of the Almighty. Then will all claim you as their God, and forsaking evil turn to you alone. Let all who dwell on earth acknowledge that unto you every knee must bend, and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you, O eternal our God, let them humble themselves to your glorious name, let them give honor. Let all accept the yoke of your dominion, that you may rule over them soon and forever. For the dominion is yours, and you rule in glory, as it is written, the eternal reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom ha'hu yihyeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad. We now turn to the Mourner's Kaddish found on page 52 of our Siddurim. In just a moment, I'll be reciting names from our Yortzeit list. After the names from our Yortzeit list have been read aloud, I'll also include names of members of our community who have recently passed. After those names have been read aloud, if you are observing a Yortzeit or in the period of Shoshim before a loved one, please share with us their name so that we as one community may pray for the elevation of their neshama to Shemayim above. Today's Yortzeit list includes the following names: Neil Levy, William Mattress, Goldie Pressenson, Simon Baden, Sam Feifelbaum, Francis Goldstein, Rachel Becker, Estelle Rothberg, Mayor Posty, Sean Sinkoff, Saul Barlston, Doris Barron, Edith Simkoff, Jean Batter, Anna Bushbaum Manziano, Gertrude Silverstone, Jenny Goldman, Samuel Levy, Alan Cohen, Rebecca Hoberman, Etta Peller, Stephen Gallowitz, Milton Goldstein, Ovadia Nemayas, Irma Roth, Joyce Berger, Anita Sheff, Eleanor Harris, Marvin Curlin, Ruth Schneider, Charlotte Friedman. Recently passed from our community are the following names: Marissa Kofsky, Evelyn North, Betty Martin, Lenny Popper, Fred Mushkel, Jeffrey Milstein, Phil Garfinkel, Evelyn Sheff, Shoshana Ilana Bat-Devora, Eli Oster, Roy Smith, Faith Small, Elaine Gordon, Ruth Topol, Alan Ederman, Regina Pasternak, Ruth Doss, John Hockenberry III, Beth Lizarowski, Frida Mizrahi, Joanna Friedman, Ricky Tripp, Jeff Hodis. Are there any additional names anyone would like added to our list for today? Yes.
Diane Barlow.
Diane Barlow? Yes.
April Dolch.
April Doge? Yes.
Marianne Malka,
Marianne Malka,
Judy Hemmer,
Judy Hemmer,
Nora Montoya,
Nora Montoya,
and Philomena Cotillo.
Philomena Cotillo? Yes.
Linda Adams.
Linda Adams,
Bob Levinson,
Bob Levinson,
Mayor Richard Pucci,
Mayor Richard Pucci,
Saul Laurie,
Saul Laurie,
and now Paul Beller.
and Paul Beller. Has he been buried at this time?
No, we
That's
don't do it.
tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
It's
it's
Sunday,
Sunday.
so you don't do it until they've been.
Technically, you wait
Okay,
until
sorry.
they've been buried.
Withdraw the name.
It's, it's still, may his memory still rest as a blessing and be rested in Zion. Okay, if it is your custom, please remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish found on page 52 of our Siddurim. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabba, v'yalma divrach v'risei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedecho beis Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yahei Shmei Rabba Mibarach L'Olom Olmei Almaya Yisbarach V'yishtabach V'yispa'ar V'yisraman V'yisnaseh V'yishadar V'yishaleh V'yishalal Shemei Kudeshah B'reichu La'ela Mikol Birchasa V'shirasa Tushbechasa V'nechamasa Damiran V'alma V'imru Amen. Yahei Shlama Rabbanim Shamaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom V'imramav V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, then let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
There's no one here from the board.
Remarkable and predictable. All right. All right, so I'm going to take care of the announcements for today. Wednesday, 11 a.m. is Talking with the Rabbi. Thursdays at 11 a.m. is Torah study in person. Saturday, March 21st, 10:30 a.m. is Shabbat Torah reading, Torah service. Please try to attend so we have minyan to perform the mitzvah of taking out and reading the Torah. On Sunday, March 22nd at 2 p.m., it is an engaging program we have scheduled with Daniel Lapidow. Learn about the trade of blacksmiths and how Jews have been a contributing member to this trade in particular. On Friday, March 27th, we have Shabbat Oneg, which will be sponsored by Lovebirds Liz and David Rothman and Sharon and Erwin Lenchner, in celebration of their anniversaries. On Thursday, April 2nd, is the second night of Passover. We have our Seder. Sign up now and see March Roots. On our flyer in our lobby, registration ends on March 27th. And then, I'm not sure why this is already being announced, but it is being announced well into the future, and that is October 11th on Sunday, the third annual car show. Volunteers are needed now. Is that a joke? To begin promoting the event. See the volunteer flyer in the lobby, I guess. It's not a joke. To learn more. For more information,
Because they need volunteers now.
yes, for more information about any of these events, come speak to a board member after services. That's a joke. Or call the office. And as always, check your weekly email for a complete schedule. All right.
Rabbi,
Yes.
I just want to add that I think it's April 5th, we're going to have a Holocaust speaker. George Rasko will be here, and the children from the Hebrew school will also be.
What's the date for that? I'm
I'm
sorry.
pretty sure it was, it's the Friday. It's the Friday after.
April 3rd.
No, April 3rd is not the Friday.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
April 3rd?
That's true.
Then maybe it's April, this week after.
Okay, the week after. All right, sounds good. Well, we're looking forward to it.
Okay.
All right, we're going to join together for our concluding prayer this evening, and that is Adon Olam on page 53 of our Siddurim. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Teren Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'Chevzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nivra V'Yachad Rei Kilo Takol Levado Yimoch Nora V'hu haya, v'hu hoveh, v'hu yiyeh v'tifara, v'hu echad v'ein sheni, l'hamshilo l'hachbira, b'li reishi, b'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'hamizra, v'hu eli, v'chaya goali, v'tzor chevli v'yesara, v'hu nisi umanosli, menat kosi beyon echra, v'ya'ado avkid ruchi, v'yezishan v'a'ira, v'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira. Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to join for the Oneg at the Het, as I like to remark upon it, at the back of our building in just a few minutes. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.